Kia ora, good evening. I'm loving making these little podcasts at night and early in the morning. I don't know, it just gives it a better mood, but in keeping in line with what we've been talking about the last few videos, I want to talk about, when you look at a lot of paranormal activity, there's a lot of reports of hearing children and women in distress. Usually babies crying, hearing children crying and women in distress. They're very, 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 very common experiences when you're dealing with the paranormal. And so what I want to do is teach you how to understand it and why it's happening and what you do to deal with it, because it is probably one of the most common experiences. We've all heard a baby cry, or like a child laugh, or footsteps running up the hallway, and maybe giggling, maybe a woman crying, doors slamming. We've all experienced something and not even realised we've experienced it. We might have thought it was a neighbour, and our hair might have stood up on the back of our neck, and we would have brushed it off and thought, nah, it'll be the neighbour's kid, because it's not normal to experience things that don't make sense. So you can walk past things and experience things and walk into things without even knowing you're doing it, that are 100% supernatural or 100% paranormal, and you don't even realise it's coming from you or from someone you're around or a complete stranger. And one of the most common things when it comes to people who try to control you is mind manipulation. If they can get in your head, there's a lot of things that can be put in there if you're easy to manipulate. And if you're the kind of person who is empathic and you soak things up like a sponge, and people are thinking negative thoughts about you, and it's manifesting as paranormal activity, one of the ways they do it is through pulling on your heartstrings, because as humans, it's human nature to automatically want to protect and show empathy towards children and women in distress, specifically children and women. It's an instinctual thing to protect, the woman and the child. It is baseline. Nature will always protect the mother and child before the father, unfortunately, because only a woman can give birth to a child, and we're still dying during childbirth in some countries. It's not easy producing a child. They're blessings, they're gifts from God, they're angels. And we all know this inherently. You would have to be apathetic and heartless and narcissistic and be devoid of all feelings and emotions to not want to automatically look in the direction of, where you hear a child crying or a woman crying. It takes a certain kind of psychological conditioning to not inherently just want to run to protect a child in distress or a woman in distress. And so when I talk about your devils, when I talk about the devil and demons and all of that, Obviously, I'm not talking about the biblical, like little impy red things that run around with spiked tails and hooves and pitchforks and that sort of thing. I'm talking about your deepest, darkest fears and secrets that play on your mind and come back to haunt you to teach you a lesson. Everything that we go through on a psychological level is all to do with lessons we haven't learnt yet. And it can be, something as basic as stop letting people use you because they're using you and they're draining you, and you're miserable and you don't know why because you keep being a good person and you help everybody and stuff, and yet you're miserable and you're unhappy and all this stuff starting to happen, but you can't understand it because you're a good person. It's like, but yes, but maybe that's the warning, is that you're a good person to the wrong people. We're supposed to be good people, but only to those who deserve it. You give respect where you get respect. That's how it works. That's the balance of life. You can't help everybody. It's impossible. But don't waste your time on helping people who don't deserve your help. You have to put you first. And when it's getting to the point where you're experiencing paranormal activity, they're red flags and warning signs. And the devil, the one who triggered all of this in you from as far back as you can go, there'll be one person that triggered it for you, that triggered all of it. That's your devil. And the demons are the people that added weight to the problems as you were growing up. And you don't even realise you're doing it, and that can all manifest as paranormal activity. It could also have nothing to do with you whatsoever, and you're picking up on things that happened in the house before you even got there. It's just unfortunately when you're a high functioning empath, when you run on the highest frequency, you pick everything up like a magnet, and then you just transmit that out like a radio. And you don't even realise you're doing it. But you have to know you're doing it, because living in the realms of the paranormal isn't healthy. And it's been in a cult, basically, that permits the mindset that the dead are coming back and causing psychological harm to the people that they love, or, that have nothing to do with nobody or anything, and that they're causing psychological damage to people on a level that's put a shadow over the planet, like a darkness that doesn't deserve to be there. It always starts with you. When you're experiencing hearing the footsteps, or the feet in the attic or whatever, and it doesn't make any logical sense, like there's no one upstairs, and you're home alone and that sort of thing, the first thing you want to do is look at the history of the house before anything, before you even go down the realms of, is it me, is it someone I'm around? Look at the history of the building, look at the history of the land. If there's a probability that there were, children that lived there, or there was an accident or whatever or blah, go down that line of inquiry first. Because then you can look at time bends and time slips and all of that based on your experiences. Because you have to remember that the mind is a powerful computer, and it can project visual images as well. Your mind can project images of women sitting in a corner crying that never even existed in real life, because when you hear the woman crying and you have an expectation of seeing the woman cry, you'll manifest a quick glimpse of a woman crying. Like, the mind is that powerful, and you need to be careful, because that's when you're going down the realms of losing control of what you're able to perceive to be reality. But some of it is 100% real. And so I'm here to teach you the difference, because we need to be focusing on the things that we're able to do with what is real. It needs to be studied. It needs to be monitored. It needs to be valued. For the genuine stuff, it needs to be valued for the incredible breakthrough in physics that it is, because it's taking death and reincarnation and evolution to a whole new level. It goes so far beyond Darwinism and all of that. It takes it so much further than anything Tesla was trying to work on, or that even Einstein understood. It absolutely would change the way people see death, God, religion, faith, evolution, quantum entanglement. It's absolutely fascinating to me. This is the world that I want to live in. You know, when I'm not doing my voices and checking on the kids and making sure that everyone's okay, and writing and all of that. I want to do these investigations. I want to do these radio shows and go to these investigations, but I don't want to go to places that are famous hauntings. I want to go to the houses where the kids need help, or the parents need help, or the guy needs help. You know, like that. What was his name? Bob Vale. You know, the guy. I did a video about him. I could go to him and help him actually stop it, because as far as I know, he was still experiencing it, and I know how to stop it. I could make it all go away. So you have to use discernment. You can't trust everything paranormal on its face value. You always have to go the logical route first, even if that means going into the realms of discovering that there was a murder or a tragedy, and that you're picking up on, stone tape. It's just a recording of sound being played back through the natural materials of the building, which is still like really friggin' cool, because you're not hearing dead people. They are very much alive, and they're interacting with you, and they don't even know you're there. And that's pretty cool. That is so much cooler than ever thinking that it's a dead person. However, your devil knows what demons to use in order to get further into your head. And depending on what you have faith in, depending on how much self-confidence you have, depending on how much you value your own life, depending on how much you love yourself, will all depend on how you deal with it next. And if you love yourself and you have self-confidence and you know you're a good person, then you're absolutely strong enough to fight it. And all it requires is just simply turning your back on it and not listening, not giving into it. Don't ever give in to the fear. When you give in to the fear, you're feeding your demons. And they are simply there. You know, you have to understand, we read books from babies. We're put in front of TVs from babies. We're fed imagery and visuals as babies. You know, we see colours and movement before we even see facial features. So, and we just kind of learn to hone that in. So obviously when we think, it can come out, it can project as like visual imagery, especially for people like me who can't do maths and do complex physics. I have to use language and visual imagery in order to do it, because it's the only way my brain can process it. My brain can't process numbers. I can remember long sequences of numbers, but when it comes to like equations and stuff like that, it's like mathematical soup in my brain. So my brain had to learn other ways to do physics. Isn't that usually a sign of brain damage? Like when the brain lacks in one thing, it makes up for in something else. Anyway, um, I have spent my entire life studying this, from my sister's nervous breakdown when she was a teenager. My sister and I were just talking about that a few weeks ago, actually. Um, it's something that has interested me since then, and then watching how the women in my family dealt with things like infidelity and alcoholism and domestic abuse and adultery and raising kids poor, and like I studied my whole life, and because I was around siblings who were experiencing paranormal activity from when I was like 4 or 5 years old, I remember it, watching them all dabbling in witchcraft and the occult and that. So I've been watching for a very long time, and it has fascinated me my whole life. And it's what I want to do. I want to go to. It all started with, my whole blog back in 2013 all started because I was watching this series on TV with Chip Coffey, and he was going around giving the most abhorrent advice to these children that had quote unquote psychic abilities, that it pissed me off and made me want to start writing my blog. And it all started from there. The whole reason why I'm on watch lists and shadow banned and hunted was because they knew what I was developing. They knew I was seeing things I shouldn't have been seeing, and I was ruining their plans. What's happening to Donald Trump, they were not expecting. When Hillary and all that got together and, they planned what was going to happen next, they didn't expect any of this. This whole Epstein thing has really got them shook. They didn't expect any of it. But they were never allowed to see the future, because God was setting them up to walk into that trap, and they walked straight into it. So now he's on his last legs, and they weren't expecting any of that. They thought they were just going to be able to walk in and tell Americans what to do, and the world was just going to bow down, and nobody's playing, and they weren't expecting it. They weren't expecting people to turn on Israel. Like, this is not going according to plan. But that's because they don't believe in God. Even though some of them stand there and say they do, they don't. And God's proving who has the power. And so now he's sending people like me in to come and share our messages to prepare you all for what comes next. Because you all need to be ready. You need to be strong. It's going to take a good couple of decades for the world to recover from the aftershock of, the truths that start coming out about the leaders that we've had for the last 30, 40 years. It's going to be a lot to take when we realise that our idols, our celebrities and all of that were not the people we thought they were. But it's giving us the opportunity to wipe the slate clean and start again, doing it our way. But in order for us to be able to do that, you all need to be focused, and you all need to be balanced of the mind. I need you all to be mentally strong. Because when you're mentally strong, your body becomes like a suit of armour. you'll never get sick again. You de-age, you get younger, you get more energy, you figure stuff out, you find peace. And you can be achieving this in your teens, in your 20s, in your 30s, in your 40s now, because I've given you the answers. And you don't usually start ascending till you're in your 40s and 50s. But if you're willing to do the work, you can start ascending and have what I have now in your teens, in your 20s, and your 30s, and it all starts with working on yourself and choosing what you choose to believe in when it comes to the power of the mind, what happens when we die, the consequences of the lives that we're living now in correlation to what happens next when we die. And we could die at any moment. None of us are guaranteed eternal life. We are not meant to live forever. We are not designed to live forever. We are supposed to keep recycling. Every time we recycle, our atoms get stronger and better and stronger and better and stronger and better. And we need to be getting to the point where we evolve past the need to be able to communicate, where we can just, if I want to make a cup of tea, I can just do it all with my mind. Put the kettle on using my mind. Put the tea in using my mind. We're supposed to be getting to all of that, but everyone wants to distract you with the digital and the AI and the brain chips because they don't want you having that kind of control. They want to control how you evolve from this point on because they are terrified at the thought of us getting off the planet before them. And if we do this right, we will. There is no way Elon Musk is ever going to be allowed to go anywhere near Mars. They're dying. These planets are dying. Everything's going to start going backwards. And people who embrace digital technology and AI are going to go backwards. They won't get off faster than the ones that do everything the old-fashioned way. And your high-functioning creative empaths are still the artists that sit down with a brush in their hand or a stylus and do it all by hand. They can sit with a pencil and a sketchbook. They can sit at the typewriter. They sit with the notepad and pencil. They sit with the scissors and the measuring tape and the programs and the software, and they do it all themselves by hand, and they don't rely on AI for anything. The people who still take photos the old-fashioned way, that don't use AI. The people that still do graphics the old-fashioned way, that don't use AI. Their skills are going to die out. The next 50 years, writers and artists and musicians and that won't exist anymore. Seeing people standing on stage playing instruments and singing on a microphone won't exist anymore because they want to use AI to control everything about what you see and what you think and what you touch and what you feel. Because if they don't, then you're all going to become people like me, and they're terrified of me. And they knew that from when I started getting, because my military boys used to say, you know, you're on a watch list. I got the names of the countries that were watching me. I was being watched by the British. One of them actually showed me a scan, like a police scan thing. He showed me I gave him like my postcode and stuff, and he showed me a thing of a police van like down the end of the street. And I said to my ex-husband, what the hell? And he was like, oh, it'll be because of the stuff you're putting up on your blog. And that was when we were in Craiglestone, like from 2013 2019, between 2013 2019, I started getting into the work with the boys and that around about 2016. That's when I started learning about, the human trafficking and that, but it was matching up with things that I had already been saying. And then that's when, the quantum magnetics kicked in, and when it started getting to the point of dealing with Hillary Clinton and Frazzled Rip and all of that, that's when they shut my WordPress down. And then they went after my Facebook. And I've been shadow banned ever since. So, it's given me the perfect opportunity to develop quantum magnetics. And now I can teach it all to you, because you have to understand one of the ways that they get to you is through your head. And if they can give you labels for mental illnesses and things like that in order to gang stalk you, they will do it. They will pay cops, doctors, of course they're going to do stuff like that if it's to stop you from whistleblowing on a global human trafficking outfit that involves many political leaders. Just having a sip of my kirker. See, because the thing is, they tried to make out like I was crazy, and that was the worst thing they could have ever done, because then it set me on the path to prove that I wasn't. Don't put that label on me. Don't let them put those labels on you. Don't let people tell you that that's a dead person causing all of that. It's not true. Don't buy into it. Don't let people think they know what's going on in your head better than you do. Even if they have a badge that says doctor. Because they don't know what they're talking about when it comes to the paranormal and the supernatural, when it comes to physics. They don't know what they're talking about. A psychiatrist, all they're there for is to figure out what medication to give you to stop what symptom. They have no interest in figuring out why you are the way you are, which is why I have more respect for psychology. Because at least with psychology, it strives to understand the human mind and why we do the things that we do. But then there's parapsychology. There's whole different sides to it, and parapsychology would be absolutely what Carl Jung, even though he was more, in the psychiatry realms and that, like parapsychology is basically what Carl Jung was the father of, is what he birthed. He knew there was a distinct correlation between the mind and the supernatural, and the mind and religion, and the mind and God. Like, he put it all together. The occult. It's all the occult. Religion and theology is all part of the occult. Psychology is all part of the occult. It's all different parts of human development, and human sciences and natural sciences and all of that that has things about it that are hidden, that few people know or understand, because they're not necessarily written down. Because there are some things that we're taught that can only be taught from generation to generation. Like the Vikings, how they came out. The Vikings basically created storytelling. Because they couldn't write, they would come back and tell stories about their adventures and their wars and their battles and that, and then the stories would get passed on. So there are some things that get passed down from generation to generation. What I teach will never be written in a book. It can never be written down. It can only be taught mouth to mouth. Because you have to be the one to put the images together. And when you do that, it paints a picture of you that you didn't even know was there. And when you can differentiate between something that's paranormal and something that's supernatural, you will never see your life or you or your ancestors or any of it, the matrix, the same way ever again. And you'll be at peace, and you will never fear anything again, and no one will ever have control over the way you think and the way you react and the way you feel ever again, which is pretty cool. And then hopefully, if I have my way, not only will I shut the paranormal industry down, because then it actually opens the door to the supernatural, which is way cooler. When you do go to places like, say, the Winchester Mansion, and you experience stuff, instead of seeing it the way it is now, which is just embarrassing, people like people's hair will stand on end. You know, when your hair stands on end and you get that chill down your spine, that's when you know you're walking into something supernatural and your body's going, whoa, because it feels the fluctuation. When you hear the clicking, you know, when the lights start flickering and things get drained, that's the cool stuff. And it has nothing to do with dead people. And I'll show you how the dead people really communicate. I'll show you how it's really done. So you can know the difference. And when you have the power of knowing what it is that you're holding in your hand, that you're experiencing on a supernatural level, once you know that that's what that is, the strength and confidence that it gives you is so evident that it creates nothing but peace in your life, even if you're surrounded by storms outside. You're riding the calm, because nothing can get to you anymore. It's like you chase all the boogeymen away. I'm going to show you how to chase the boogeymen away. So don't fall for the crying women and the crying children and the this, that and the other. Investigate the history of the property first, you know, the house, the building first, then the property, then look at the people in it, the people who have had access to the house or the building, and then the people who have access to you, and then you. So start with the logical first, so go all the way out there to, was there a crime scene, was there a this, did a family live here, is it a time bend, is it a time slip sort of event, and then work backwards towards, is it then, once all other avenues have been exhausted, is it me? Is it something I'm projecting, or is it something that I've picked up and is projecting? You know, and then that's what you do. Don't automatically say, oh my God, it's going to be me and I must be messed in the head. You know, no, that's not what you do. I mean, if you react like that, then you probably just need to look at you immediately, because that sort of reaction would be an overreaction. And then you'd have to look at why you were suffering from crippling anxiety and fear automatically. But yeah, that wouldn't be a normal reaction. The normal reaction you'd be looking for is, I might look into this. She might be onto something here. Let's try it. And the thing is, I want to say, for paranormal investigators that think that I'm out to get them, I'm not. I'm trying to show you how to do it the right way, because you're all learning from each other the wrong way, and it's embarrassing. And what you need to be doing It is your responsibility if you're going to investigate it. If you do find something that is genuinely 100% categorically cannot be denied, the soul of a deceased person or persons reaching out for help, you are responsible for helping them cross over, and you're not. You're investigating these places where some of it is genuine, where even I will say, yep, that is 100% genuine, and nobody's doing anything about it. They're walking away. And then you have to ask yourself, why are you doing this? Because it's certainly not to help the sciences or help anyone cross over then. If you're going to places where it's 100% genuine and you're not crossing anything over that's trapped there that's clearly asking for help, and you're not doing anything, then shame on you. You don't deserve to be doing it. But for those people out there that do these investigations, that want to get into it the right way, because nobody's going to know how to do this better than Indigenous people, guys. Doesn't matter what equipment you use. You're never going to know it better than Indigenous people. We have an understanding of it that is so far beyond the realms of societal norms, because it's in the realms of undeniable physics. But we're never given the credit because we're looked at as being uneducated savages. Couldn't possibly know the stuff that we know, but we do. We just call it different names. We understand it a different way. It's a different language to us, but it's all the same practice. We grieve, people die, we suffer, we turn to soil in the ground, we get reborn. It's all the same thing. But then it means that we can start shutting all of it down. When you know what you're doing and you know what you're dealing with, we can shut it all down and bring peace to the planet. She'll finally have her burdens that we've forced upon her. She's had to soak up the blood and the sweat and the tears of all the things that have been forced upon us. And now we can cleanse her as well. But I need help. So I'm having my products and I'm putting my shows out, and I want to be able to travel the world. I want to go to places where I'm called to help people, normal, average, everyday people. Go into their huts, go into their villages, go into their towns, go into their cities, their apartments, their houses, their farms, their office building, whatever. I want to go to them and sit down and hear their experiences and show them how to fix it. And if I have to bring science experiments in as well, then I'm happy to do that too. And then once you see me do it, you'll all know how to do it. And then there's more of us out there doing it. And easing the burdens that have been placed upon my grandmother, my Papatuanuku, Mother Earth, Gaia. Because she's been put through a lot more than we have, and we've been put through a lot. But the only way that we're going to heal this planet is if we work together to save it. But the only way we can save it is if we save ourselves first. And that's why I'm here. So if you listen to me and I show you how to fix this in you, it literally just means that you have to step over your pride and ego, accept that there's some things that you were taught that might not necessarily be the truth, especially when it comes to the religion and like the Bible, because my life is proof that God clearly doesn't have a problem with what I'm doing because I'm his princess. I'm his special little girl. I get away with a lot because I know what I'm doing. And the Holy Grail is never going to be the goblet that's covered in all the gems and, made from solid gold. It's always the one you least expect that's going to be the one that holds the most power. Sitting here in my t-shirt and undies, bare feet, hair tied up, broken tooth. Sitting with a candle burning because I don't want to use the light. But having said that, I don't think I'll ever use the overhead light ever again, or a lamp. I love the ambience of just sitting with candles burning. It's just, oh my God. I found my little bubble of peace until we had the issue with the neighbour. Everything was so peaceful and beautiful and calm here, I felt safe. And then this bism over here moved in and all hell's broken loose, and we've got to bring an end to that because it's like she's holding the whole bloody complex hostage with her bad attitude and her aggression, especially towards men. So, yeah. So while I'm helping to defend my complex in my street with my with my pen as my sword, because I've got to write a letter and take notes and stuff down to hand to the council about it. I'm making these videos to show you how to arm yourself with the knowledge that you need in order to fight the power, to gain the power. It all starts with you and how you understand the paranormal. Only you can change your mind. I'm only offering you different perspectives. But when you change your perspective, it does change your mind, but only you can change your mind. And when you change your mind, it means you start opening your mind. And the more you open the mind, the more your mind expands. And when you expand your mind, you're expanding the universe. Literally. Because it's all connected. So it helps you evolve. And we need to be stepping away from the old world of thinking that the dead wander the earth. Sometimes they do, yes, absolutely, 100%. But not everything that goes bump in the night is a dead person. Sometimes it could be temperature fluctuations. Especially if the house is made of wood and stone. They'll tend to creak, like especially, if you've had like a warmer days and then the temperature changes quickly at night, the building will creak because of the moisture and the granite or the stone or whatever, and the heat expanding and contracting the wood as it stretches and shrinks back in. So a lot of things can make the house go bump at night. But that's what I'm here for. So I'm going to go and make myself another cocoa because that was incredible. I drink cocoa at night because it helps with my stomach inflammation from the damage that my stomach took from the poison. Because you have to remember as well that I figured out through various posts and evidence in that he'd been trying to poison me for at least 2 years before the actual event. I have evidence of him trying to, slip things. He tried a few times for a few years. So my stomach was taking a lot of damage for a lot of years. It got worse in the last house when I would just uncontrollably start vomiting, and I'd always think it was just because I hadn't eaten enough. So, but now I know, and yeah, but it's taken a toll on my tummy. So if you ever have any issues with inflammation of the stomach or like the esophagus or the digestive system, make yourself a nice cocoa. You know, cocoa from baking, or cocoa that you get for your baking, or don't buy the ready-made like cocoa stuff that's going to have the powdered milk in that. Just a couple of teaspoons of cocoa, a nice big teaspoon of honey with a little bit of milk, whatever your milk is, and then hot water, and give it a good stir and just drink that. And after a couple of days, it actually helps with the inflammation and calms your stomach down, because I can't have normal pain relief. I'm allergic to everything chemical. I can't even have aspirin. I can't even have anti-inflammatory gel because it gives me asthma. Messes with my breathing. The one thing I used to be able to have, which was Valium, diazepam, I can't even have that anymore. So I'm allergic to gluten. Like, my body just does not like chemicals at all. So I have to find alternative ways to deal with pain, like hot water bottles, hot baths, herbs, shilajit. Methylene blue doesn't help at all. Not for pain, although it's supposed to, but it didn't with me. The shilajit helped a lot better than I have, cups of that. So I do find alternative ways to deal with the pain. But in turn, it's made my body exceptionally healthy. And people can't believe that I'm the age that I am. People can't believe I'm 52. So, ascensions, roll back the years. Now I understand why Cliff Richard always looks so young. He's a born again Christian, but when that ascension glow, it de-ages you, because the vagus nerve, it triggers the vagus nerve in your brain is what triggers like your need to want to be active as well, and it helps produce all the chemicals that produce all the hormones and that produce the oils that make your skin look younger and all of that sort of thing. Like it makes you exceptionally active. Like you want to get up and exercise. You've got energy to burn, and it burns. It decalcifies your pineal gland, and because you release all those burdens and you let go of the baggage, you become lighter, and it shows on your skin. And you lose weight without even trying, and you just become happier and more active. And when you feel the love, when you have that glow of self-love and love for humanity and love for the world, and because one of the side effects of an ascension is that you start to love people and feel the need to want to express it, because it's a feeling. You know how people, when they die and they say, I felt so much love I didn't want to come back? It's that, but while you're alive. And it's like a high that you just want to keep chasing. You just want to keep being in that energy, in that frequency, because there's peace there, there's healing there. People, when they have their NDEs, they'll come back and they'll say it was so peaceful and it was so beautiful, and I was surrounded by my ancestors, and there was so much love and I didn't want to leave. It was so peaceful there, I didn't want to leave. And ascension is all of that, but while you're alive. So if you get to live that while you're alive, imagine what you get when you die. Because it means you got it right. It means you hit the nail on the head. You finally figured it out while you were alive. And you get to enjoy it while you're alive. And that's why it's worth working on yourself. Don't ever turn your back on a master maker. If someone's been brought into your life to give you the kind of sage wisdom and sage advice to put you on a more productive, more bountiful, more financially rewarding path, where you'll have untold bounties and untold blessings long after you're gone, sort of thing. you get offered this ascension, you get offered the rewards that come with it. You don't want to stop chasing the high. When you're offered the chance to ascend, don't turn a master maker away, because they're putting you in the right direction for untold glory. And it's got nothing to do with doing it for the money. I mean, I'm doing it for the money. I've never hidden that, but so that I can put the money to good use to help Indigenous people and to build these safe houses. I'm not keeping it all for myself. I'm putting it all into my business, into, my philanthropy. I want to be philanthropic. So that's why God loves me. That's why I'm his little princess, because I figured it out. And it all starts with you. So now I'm going to hand you the tools. And you're not going to be the son of a tool maker, you're going to be the tool maker. Okay, I'm going to go and make another cocoa. I will speak to you later. Until the next episode. Ka kite anō. Mwah.